Welcome, brothers. Today's video aims to highlight the thoughts of several women regarding men. Many women get upset when other women prioritize their men or appreciate the qualities that a man brings to the table. But before we continue, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Brothers, we're also on TikTok now, so feel free to check it out. The link is in the description. Without further ado, let's get started.
Do you think that men hold no value? Like they're just a waste of space, nothing to be loved and honored in a relationship? Because I do expect him to love, honor, celebrate, view me as a blessing in this relationship. So why would I want that from him, require that from the person I'm in a relationship with, but not be willing to give it? I think it's very problematic to suggest that men are not a prize just as much as women are. And it's sad that we do live in a world today that will support that. Yeah, it's only women that are the prize. No. If you got a good man, girl, you better honor that man. I'm like, why would I not? I expect it from him. I require it in a relationship. So no, I don't agree with that. But I do agree with you that the insult was made in poor taste. I should not have said it in the way that I did. Well, I did say that I was thinking it. I didn't say it to them, but it's still poor taste.
Brothers, of course, a man has value. Nowadays, for men to have a relationship even with an average woman, they have to bring a lot to the table. This is even more significant when the woman is relatively attractive. The problem, brothers, is that there are many men out there who don't really know their worth. They let themselves be bossed around by any woman, making it feel like she is the prize in the relationship. This is a mistake. When a man is the one who needs to have a high salary, a home, a vehicle, take the lead in inviting to restaurants, dress well, please the woman with gifts or an intimacy, who then contributes more value to the relationship. When a man is required to bring a lot to the table to be in a relationship. That's why men who understand their value are the ones who end up with the best women. They understand that if they are in the top 20%, they are the prize because it's easier to find a beautiful woman than to find a man of value. Women know this. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many beautiful women going after high-value men, and there wouldn't be so many dating coaches advising women on how to get their high-value man. So, knowing this, brothers, who is truly the prize in the relationship?
Of course, single dads can only be successful, more successful than single moms, because they're pawning their kids off, right? Actually, that's incorrect. Let's check the Pew Research Center because they collect census data. As it turns out, a full 59% of single dads have no spouse or cohabitating partner in residence with them. You're welcome. Another interesting fact is that single dads tend to be younger than single moms and have a lower level of education, and yet they are far less likely to live at or below the poverty level. A whole 26% of single dads don't even have a high school diploma, and they're still making more money than single moms. A quick reminder on what the statistics are for single mother households in comparison to unbroken homes or single father homes. You are 5 times more likely to unalive yourself. You are 9 times more likely to drop out of high school. You're 10 times more likely to abuse drugs. You are 14 times more likely to commit rape. You are 20 times more likely to go to prison. And you are 32 times more likely to run away from home. Now, I do find it at least a little bit interesting that seeing how the statistics are proving that single dads are younger and have a lower education, and yet they are far less likely to live under the poverty level, says something about their commitment to raising their children. It speaks volumes about how important it is to them to give their kids a good life.
This is for the girl who thinks that she's going to be single for the rest of her life. For the girl that's like, there is just not a man that God has for me. This person does not exist. I'm going to be alone forever. First of all, God sees you. He knows exactly where you are. He has you here for a reason. He empathizes with your frustration and your hurt and your disappointment. He sees it. He's with you in it. But God is sovereign. And that means that he is above all things and knows all things. He is sovereign over the world, over your life. Let me tell you, the way that God can just pull things out of thin air and place them into your life is wild. He is a God of the impossible and a waymaker and a miracle worker. It is not time to give up hope. Watch him just do it. Watch him put it all perfectly into place. It's gonna blow your mind. And if things seem impossible right now, then it is the perfect stage for the Lord to bring a miracle into your life and to give him the ultimate glory.
Lately, there's been an increase in the number of Christian women converting, especially as they approach their 30s. The reason is simple. They are seeking conservative men, providers who can help form a family, men with good Christian values who don't judge a woman's past and can offer marriage. This is because outside the church, men are less inclined to marry. They are not looking for women who have hit the wall. Many women fear they won't find a beta provider who can offer long-term security and financial stability. That's why you see so many women wanting to go to church, delivering the message that God will bring the right man for them, someone they can marry. After going through the carousel, enjoying themselves, they want to deceive a church brother who won't scrutinize their past or baggage. It's like a meme I saw. My husband is Christian. I cheated on him with another man. I blamed it all on the devil that made me sin. We prayed for forgiveness for our sin, and we started the cycle again. This was a meme, brothers, but believe me, it happens more than you think. These beta providers believe in forgiveness, not in a woman's past. And a wolf, even if it dresses like a sheep, is still a wolf.
It's funny because it's true.
About to leave for a first date that I'm very excited about. If you want to see this outfit come together, go to part 1. I'm very excited for this fun coat. Perfectly oversized, so cute. All right, let's get out of here. For once, I left myself plenty of time to get ready, but then realized I forgot to eat dinner, so we're gonna stop for a slice on the way.
Just walked by a group of women, and one of them said to the other, "Have you heard of the pickle theory?" And now I must know, what is the pickle theory?
What can I get you tonight?
Do a grandma slice, please.
All right. Middle's fine. Or corner?
Oh, corner, please. If walking down the street eating a slice of pizza is wrong, I don't want to be right. Was it a great idea to eat a saucy, garlicky meal literally on the way to the date? Probably not, but no regrets. Getting the corner was the move. This crust is delicious. Do I have sauce anywhere? Anything in my teeth? You guys would tell me, right? It would be too late by the time you do. Got honked at by a man on an e-bike, or like bell runged at? I don't know what the phrase for that is. Sir, what's your plan? Am I gonna hop on your handlebars and off we ride into the sunset? I'm back for my date. We had just as much fun as I thought we were going to. We're gonna call him Billy Joel, or BJ for short. Oof, yeah, we're not gonna call him BJ for short. We sat and talked for like 3.5 hours. He's very funny in like a really humble way. He asks really insightful questions. And we talked about seeing each other again. So here's the date 2.
I don't know, brother. It seems fake to me. She ate before the date, went to various places, when most women go on a date straight from home because they're supposed to eat there. Besides, after the date, she doesn't go home. She has time to record a video in the bathroom talking about this man. After a 3-hour date, and it seems like she walked or something, it just doesn't add up for me. What do you guys think?
I'm just here to normalize that it's completely okay if you're in your 30s, that you're single, that you aren't even looking to be dating, that you don't have children, that you don't own your own house, that you don't have a car, never even taken driving lessons. It's all okay. There is no timeline on life for you to achieve whatever it is by a certain age, by a certain milestone. You can do whatever you want with your life, and if you don't want to do any of those things, it doesn't matter. And I think we really need to normalize that it's okay to be different. It's okay to choose differently. And you know, like one of the most frequently asked questions that people get, or I get, especially as a woman, is, are you seeing anyone? Have you got a partner? Are you married? Like, are you dating? Like, do you not want to date? Why do you not want to date? You know, do you not want to settle down? Like, and it almost makes you believe that there's something wrong with you, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with you at all. I don't know why my glasses are steaming up, but there's nothing wrong with you at all. Like, you can choose whatever you want to do with your life. Like, if you're happy being by yourself, then you do that. Like, I've been through so much in my life, so much adversity, that I've really gotten to know myself on a much deeper level. I've really had to do a lot of inner work, and I'm so comfortable being on my own now. Like, the actual idea of committing to anything freaks me out. Like, and it's not that I'm never gonna do that or I'm never gonna be with somebody, but it doesn't feel like it's something that I need. Like, it would be a bonus to share experiences with someone, but right now, like, I'm completely happy just doing my own thing and being me. I don't have my own house, I don't have a car, like, I don't have these things, and I'm completely okay with it. Like, I am fine with walking to places or getting the bus to places or the trains. Like, it's okay. And I think we need to normalize that it's okay to do those things, and not everybody's life has to look exactly the same. So if you are in a similar boat to me, then it's okay. Welcome to the club. And yeah, you get to just decide whatever it is that you want to do with your life, and that's okay. Like, you never need to justify why. Like, it's up to you. So sending love.
Brothers, I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks that these kinds of messages sound like those of a loser, telling others it's okay to be a loser, that you don't have to be a winner as others expect. That's what I hear when I hear people say, you can be anything you want to be. That's a lie. If I want to be the president of the US, I'll be it because I demand it. Here's the problem with today's woman. If someone tells you, you don't have kids, no house, no husband, no career, no car, what the heck happened in your youth? Riding the carousel, this, you can be anything you want, sounds to me like you're someone else's burden, probably your parents. Brothers, if your life isn't going the way you want, instead of going on about self-discovery, it's better to rethink, what the heck am I doing wrong? What can I do differently? Because if your results aren't good, something is wrong, and you're the only constant in the equation. It's not anyone else, you're the only one. So, change yourself instead of thinking you can be anything you want without doing anything. Brothers, a woman who doesn't change her game on time, you know what awaits her, the wall. As we all know, the wall doesn't forgive.
You are 30. Start acting your age.
How about new?
Welcome, brothers. Many women talk about men ending up alone, but no one wants to mention the large number of women over 30 without a partner. Many regret not choosing a provider beta in their youth, not wasting their prime years with the Chad. But before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments. This greatly helps us reach more men who may need this content. But without further ado, let's get started.
In less than 6 months, I'm going to be 36 years old. I'm going to be 36 and I'm not married. I don't have kids. I rent my apartment and I live in a city that I don't really connect with. I'm not going to say I haven't had major breakdowns about it, because believe me, I have. But you know what? In this moment, and I don't know if it's just because the days are getting longer, but I'm okay with that because I get to figure out life on my terms. I get to decide, and I didn't get to decide a lot in my life. Could still be in relationships where decisions were being taken from me. And all I can feel right now in this present moment is grateful that I'm 36 and I have none of the things that I thought I wanted.
Many women don't change their game plan in time. They end up hitting 30 and then regret it. Brothers, we see many women saying, I have my own house, I have my job, I'm financially stable, all empowering themselves. But the reality is that none of that fills the void of not having a man at home. This woman has hit the wall. We all know the wall doesn't forgive. She says she has existential crises because she thought she would be married with children, building a family at this age. But her sad reality is that she is more alone than the sun at noon on a cloudless day. Although she's grateful to be alive at 36, it doesn't equate to happiness for the decisions she made throughout her life. This woman likely rejected men who could have offered her commitment, and now she sees her window to start a family shrinking every day. A woman should prioritize getting married because she can be certain of two things in life. Her biological clock is running out, and the wall doesn't forgive.
Hi, this is a TikTok specifically for girls that are in their mid-30s. So if you're not that, please go and learn a new TikTok dance. Do whatever you want, and no, we're not too old to be on here, and that's rude. I just wondered if you ever woke up and had like a midlife crisis for no reason. I feel like I went to sleep yesterday when I was 19 years old, not a care in the world, my whole life in front of me. And now I've woken up and I'm 36 and I'm single and I don't have a family, I don't have kids, and I'm running out of time and I don't know what to do about it. And that is a situation that is out of my control. And I try the dating apps and I try to go out and socialise and there are no men. So yeah, I feel like I'm having a nervous breakdown and I just wondered if anybody else felt the same or if it was just me having a nervous breakdown on my own about the fact I'm going to die alone. Yeah, it'd be really great if you could let me know. Thanks.
Brothers, women are always very conscious of their age. It's clear that this concern grows, especially when they hit 27 and above because they are in the window to get married. However, when you reach 30, you're in middle age, and when you hit 35, the midlife crises begin. They start realizing that if they don't do something soon, they'll end up alone. Now I wonder, what happened when you went to sleep at 19? Did you spend that entire year in limbo? Or did you live partying, having fun, traveling, or working? Or worse, did you give your best years to Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table except a seed? Because from 19 to 35, that's an average of 16 years, and you must have spent it on something. In this life, time is very precious. If you don't take advantage of your 20s to secure a good man or a beta provider who can provide long-term financial stability, it's difficult to find one at 35 when you might struggle to conceive. That's why, brothers, we see them trapped in their decisions. Another thing she says is that there are no men. What's happening is that men now prefer to build their own path. Many at her age prefer a younger woman. Of course, if I have to invest my resources in you, I'd rather do it with a woman who can at least assure me of descendants. It's tough, but it's the reality that the wall doesn't forgive.
I feel like I've hit a nerve with a subject on TikTok. You know, imagine being 31, single and living at home with no children. The funny thing is when I put it as a context, it was to show like how delulu my mum is, like thinking that now's the right time to start knitting blankets. None of it was about me moaning about my situation, because I can assure you now I am very happy. I'm so content at home. I have no reason to move out. I think if I was actively dating, then it would be a bit more of a priority, but I'm not. There's so many factors that make sense to me to be living at home. I won't go into them all because it's just boring and don't need to hear it. But for the people that do live at home and are 30 or late 20s, early 30s or whatever age, there's nothing wrong with it. If you're happy and you're content with your situation, or even if you're not, like there's so many things you can do to change it. Nothing lasts forever. So, you know, whatever position you're in this week might be different in 3 months. I'm an optimist. I'm very optimistic. And I don't dwell on things, and I'm not offended. I'm definitely surprised. But because so many people have commented on it, I will say it doesn't personally make financial sense for me to move out right now. So I won't. And I won't be looking at properties. And if Billy Bob wherever wants to look at properties for me, that's fine. You do you, hun. Anyway, sprinkle, sprinkle. Stay happy.
Sometimes, I understand why some parents kick their kids out at 18, because if you're not at least pursuing education, then why would they still support you even when you're of legal age? I know things are tough, but beyond 30, you're still putting a burden on your parents. It's an abuse. Brothers, how uncomfortable it must be for a mother or father to see that their daughter can't establish a relationship, that she's in her 30s and has made no progress since her adolescence. Certainly, I would feel like I failed as a parent. She's not married, not studying, not financially independent. In a word, she's a total zero, nothing at all. Brothers, we'll see this a lot. Women continuing to live in their parents' homes, watching the years go by, parents wondering if this is the legacy they leave behind. Grandchildren won't be coming, as they say, by 2030, over 45% of women will be single. Every day, we see ourselves getting closer to that prophecy.
Shock to no one that it turns out there are loads of girls that feel the same way I do about how hopeless it is being in your mid-30s and trying to date. I actually do a podcast about it with my friend Mia. We're called I'm Good Actually, and we're available on Apple, Spotify and Google. If you click the Instagram icon on my TikTok page, it will take you through to our Instagram account where you can find the links to all of our episodes and see all of our reels. And yeah, it will probably resonate with a lot of you because because we just unpack how hopeless it is, how nerve-wracking it can be to go on first dates, what it's like when you've got kids and you're trying to fit in meeting someone and dating, basically everything, and we laugh at ourselves a lot and we're idiots. So give us a listen, drop us a comment, let us know what you want to talk about in season 2, because we're going to start filming that soon. And yeah, we're all in this together. Who knew?
What good is a postcard to talk about singleness, about how it's approaching the wall? How would day 1051 of singleness start? Another day, brothers. One thing I realize is how singleness affects women, unlike men who don't have a biological clock. A man, during his singlehood, can work on himself to build his wealth, improve skills, and achieve financial stability. This is attractive because I know many men who have delayed a few years. When you see them between 30 and 40, you see them with a better physique, some with their own homes, others with good jobs or businesses. You see that many start dating, getting women aged 23 to 28 to marry even at 35. These women are happy with life because of this man. What I mean by this is that a man's best years are between 27 and 40. He has enough time to improve himself, to choose a partner to start a family. So, brothers, if you're reading this, you have plenty of time to better yourself. Don't waste it. Focus on yourself. Because these women, if they waste their best years, later they cry on social media because men aren't pursuing them. It's because they've hit the wall, and we know the wall doesn't forgive.
A woman who is over 30 and single and who wants to have a man, wants to have marriage, wants to have children, one of the things that you are going to have to learn how to do is to move out of the feeling of desperation. Whenever you feel like you are running out of time, you begin to lose hope. And what literally happens is that the things that you want move further away from you. So as long as you feel like you're missing out, you're losing out, time is going to pass you by, there are no good men available for you, you are putting yourself in the emotion and the spirit and the energy of desperation and fear, which is only going to cause you to move further away from the things that you actually want. Instead, what you need to do is learn to manage your emotions around what it is that you're feeling and that you want. So instead of leaning into the fear, leaning into the desperation, begin to practice some sort of self-care mechanism, self-regulating mechanism that you can do on a daily basis that will help you to manage those emotions, because your feelings are not facts. Your feelings, the fear, the desperation, the scarcity is attached to your social and psychological conditioning, but you can change that, right? So the key message here is that you cannot get the man, the marriage, the money, the children, the things that you want if you are thinking about them from the place of desperation within you. So you have to learn to move out of desperation, get into an abundance mindset, work on your emotional management, and then you'll be able to start thinking about things in a way that will draw them to you instead of repelling them.
This has always made me laugh. This idea that if you ask for it and align yourself with the energy, you'll manifest it. What nonsense is this? What women need to do is lower their standards, because many of them face issues due to having unrealistically high standards. Some believe they deserve high-value men when all they bring to the table is their presence. Even worse are those whose beauty isn't enough to attract the men they desire. Some get approached by men, but they want the beta man, putting conditions on their love. You can be with me if you earn 7 figures, have a house, or a car. To win the prize of a woman in her 30s who doesn't guarantee a healthy child and has likely been through the hands of various chads, increasing her body count. But what does she offer you as a man who has achieved excellence, who has worked on himself? Do you think that's fair, brother? That's why you see them desperate, because the idea of manifesting the perfect man doesn't happen. It's like telling me that money will arrive at your doorstep, and all you have to do is sleep. That's why you see them going to all the places where men usually hang out, hoping someone approaches them. As I said, brothers, the theory that the majority of women will be single by 2030 is coming true. Welcome, brothers. In today's video, I bring you two very interesting stories. One is about a mother who felt overwhelmed even though she has a millionaire husband. The other is about a woman who abandoned her pastor husband, portraying herself as a victim for having been with him. Brothers, I invite you to like the video, subscribe, and leave us comments about the stories you see. Your opinion is important and can help another man who may need it. So let's get started.
I left my home, my life, my multi-million-dollar everything with 3 suitcases.
With the girls or without the girls?
Without the girls. So I have a full-time nanny who is there 7 to 7. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to come to LA and I'm going to see my therapist because my therapist is here and I'm just going to check into the hotel. Well, when I got to the hotel, I slept for so long, they did a wellness check. And they knocked on the door to make sure I was okay because I hadn't ordered any food and no one had seen me. And I could barely talk when they did the wellness check because I hadn't had water in so long.
You were just out because you were so exhausted?
I was out. I was physically exhausted and sick.
How many hours is this?
I would say it was probably, I want to say 30 hours. After I got up, I remember just being in a stupor and feeling like I could only mentally take one thing in front of me. So it was like, okay, drink water. Okay, eat some food. Lay back down. And then finally, I actually just told my sister, I said, can you please check in on the kids? Because I don't know if I'll be able to. You know, I mean, it was just really step by step. And I think that's very similar for a lot of women.
This woman had a millionaire husband. All she had to do was take care of the children, who had a nanny 24/7. Despite that, she felt exhausted. In short, she left for a few days to attend therapy and see a doctor because she couldn't handle the workload. Brothers, the modern woman victimizes herself for everything. Imagine a man saying he needs to leave for a few days because he can't handle his responsibilities as the man of the house. The internet would criticize him for being weak. But surely, if this man is a millionaire, he must manage a company, take care of employees, handle the company's finances and home, ensure nothing is damaged at home, provide food for his children, attend to his wife, take care of his children's health, and attend to his wife both emotionally and economically. Women today have it easy with so many conveniences, yet they still complain about having to do anything. Many don't want the responsibilities of marriage. They just want to say they're married, have a big wedding, show off a ring, and nothing more.
It is very funny to me that straight men don't seem to realize that the consequences of not stepping up around the house when you have been asked to are that you don't get to have a wife anymore. Around 70% of divorces of straight couples are initiated by women, and that is because we get sick of men's refusal to do their share of the domestic and caring load, and we realize that we can be happier and do less work single. Men are often blindsided by divorce, and that is because they don't seem to understand what it means when we are telling them that we need them to do more of the housework, more of the childcare, and that they need to take end-to-end ownership of specific domestic tasks without being asked. Women tell them this, but they can still think that there won't be any real consequences to them not doing it. Men are scaffolded by a patriarchal system that shields them from the consequences of their own actions always. From rarely being punished for sexual assault, to being promoted in the workplace over women even when they are incompetent, to believing that they still get to have a wife even when they have let that wife get buried under domestic duties that she has asked for help with. That's why they're so shocked when women divorce them. They don't realize that in their inaction, they have been showing us that they don't care if we're miserable. And they don't realize that there are consequences to that because there have so rarely been consequences for their bad behavior. But when men don't pull their weight, women leave them, and that might make them miserable, but we're happier. And I would suggest that we make men aware of this, but that would just be making women do more work again.
This is a complete fallacy. Do you know how many men currently do chores and household work? It's a significant percentage. That's why it's the simplest thing for an adult to function. These women keep complaining about doing chores or taking care of the children, when it's the man who has to bring food to the table, work, and pay all the expenses so that this woman can stay at home. Supposedly, she should at least be able to keep the house clean. It's true that 70% of women file for divorce, but this is even higher when the man is financially stable or has paid for the house. You know why? Because, as she says, the patriarchal system rewards women more in divorce than men. How can a woman not be happier if she gets to keep the house, half of the man's money, part of his pension, and child support? Brother, if every man who separates from his wife ended up like this after a divorce, that man would be very happy too. But what does the man end up losing? Half of everything, and sometimes even having to pay the lawyer's fees that your ex-wife used to screw you over, which can be more than everything she takes from you. That's why I've always said, a man who picks himself up after a divorce is worth two, because not only does that man have a difficult life, but now he has to go into survival mode after being in a war.
So I'm in my car getting ready to go into work, and I'm just going to be super quick because something was sent to me the other day. Apparently the church that I was a part of for years had their annual Christmas deacon elder dinner, and I was always there. This is the first one that I've missed because I am no longer with my pastor, praise and worship leader husband. So of course this is when everybody plasters the pictures of them at the restaurant, and I was guilty of doing the same thing. But let's rewind to last year's deacon elder dinner. It is December 2022. My husband and I are hanging on by a thread. I am pretty much getting ready to leave because I can't take it anymore, and we're sitting at a table, and it's a round table, and my brother-in-law and sister were sitting at the table. My husband is there. My husband comes up and touches me on the back, and it was like this. And I mean, I just like cringed, right? He recognized it for the first time. He noticed that I reacted that way to his touch, and he said, "What's the matter?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. I'm fine. I'm sorry. Go work the crowd." And when I say work the crowd, exactly what I mean. Go work the crowd. We're told we need to be available. We're told to smile, kiss the babies, shake the hands, hug the old ladies. I mean, that's what you're taught to do. So I told him to go work the crowd. I was fine. Don't worry about it. I think my sister-in-law kind of noticed it too, but they knew that I was hanging on by a thread anyways. And so my point to all of this is that all of their pictures are going to be posted all over social media of all the happy couples and the elders and the deacons and all their wives. And my memory of the last one that was there was that my husband had to stop drinking because we had a church event that night. We weren't really allowed to do nighttime events because we had to do everything around his alcohol. So he had a few drinks that morning. He stopped drinking the afternoon and going into the evening for the event. By this point, he is feeling it a little bit. He's starting to get a little shaky. But again, I know the routine. You don't get in people's faces. You make sure you have your mint. You put your eye drops in your eye. Like, we did everything. I knew what he was doing and what I was doing to cover it up. But I was about done. So we leave the event after, we do the whole thing and say our goodbyes, and we get into the car, and he had his vodka shooter already in the car, ready to just down it to control the shakes. So he downs his vodka shooter. I immediately drive him across the street to the liquor store, across the street and down, so that he can get the alcohol that he needs for the night. We had left a little early, so the fear of running into anybody wasn't a big deal. So we get the alcohol, we head home, he proceeds to get plastered, and then treat myself and our children, my kids, like crap. That was my memory. That is what happened. That is the life that we lived. That is what it was like being married to my pastor, praise and worship leader husband, and lying to everybody for a decade. So it was a little bit of a trigger for me when I see all these pictures, especially senior pastor and his wife posting pictures on social media, because I used to do the same thing. But that's my memory. So it's so funny because I know what events are coming up and I know what's going to be posted. And every single one of those events, I have a memory of me covering and hiding and my husband getting so drunk. So we'll see what happens the next time they post. Let's see what's coming up next. Christmas. I'm sure I have some good ones there.
Brothers, have you ever noticed that every woman who has been married to a man of value in any area, whenever she ends things with this man, seeks to demonize him? She portrays herself as the victim. I'm not saying this story isn't real, or that what this man did was not wrong, but it always goes like this. I am the victim. I was married to a narcissist. I don't know how I survived this marriage and all those kinds of things. The worst part is that a man who gets married, when he gets divorced, has to be prepared for his entire personal life or mistakes to be shared with everyone. This man was married to this woman. He wasn't perfect, had his problems, and instead of helping him, she ends up sinking him even more. Of course, she does this by damaging his image, as is typical for any man in a position of power when he breaks up with a woman. She starts telling stories about his entire personal life, of course, from the perspective that she is the victim and the man is the evil devil who abused her. But let's see how this story continues because there are 2 more videos. It's quite interesting.
Okay, so here is part 2 to what it was like being married to an alcoholic pastor, praise and worship leader at a church event. So I just shared a video earlier about a deacon elder dinner for 2022. The deacon elder dinner just happened for 2023, so they've posted some stuff about it on social media. So we're going to rewind to deacon elder dinner 2020, I believe. So my husband, my pastor husband, he's the associate pastor of a church. I'm no longer part of that church since I'm no longer with him. But so it is that event. And my husband and I are at a casino. And he is plastered. He has been drinking most of the day, but definitely loves to drink whenever he's gambling. And so he is several drinks in. And I usually didn't gamble. I would usually go to my car and watch Netflix and get an appetizer from the restaurant. So I'm getting ready to walk out of the restaurant and I get a message, actually a missed phone call from my sister-in-law. And that's really weird because like the time and everything like that, I was like, okay, I didn't answer because I usually never answered unless he gave me permission or he was with me and on speaker, or something like that. So I don't answer the phone and then I get another missed call from a deacon. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's something going on. Something has happened. So I go over to his machine and I'm like, hey babe, I just had a missed call from our sister and I just had a missed call from a deacon. He's like, yeah, I know. My brother called me and she called me too. Like, that's really weird. And I'm like, what do you think is going on? He's like, I don't know. No, we're not going to worry about it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the car and I'll wait for you to text me when you're done. And then I get a text and they're asking where we are. I go back to my husband and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the elder deacon dinner and it's happening right now. And we are here. You are drunk and we're at the casino. What the heck are we going to do? Let's go. Let's go. Let's get home. Let's get home. He's like, he cashes out. We get in the car and we are booking it back home. And he's like, oh crap. Oh crap, I'm probably going to get fired. I'm probably going to get fired. I'm probably going to get fired. I'm like, no, you're not, babe. No, you're not. Like, your dad's the pastor. He's not going to fire you. And he's like, I'm like, what are we going to do though? He's like, I don't know. I've never missed, like, I don't know. I'm like, well, we obviously can't go. You're trashed. And you know, somebody's going to come to our house to check on us and you can't answer the door. He's like, I don't know. So we decide that we are going to tell the family, my sister-in-law and the deacon that called, that I am sick. So we basically tell them that I have a urinary tract infection, that I've been in bed and that he's been taking care of me and that it just completely slipped our minds. We are so sorry. We couldn't believe this, but he was such a good husband and taking care of his wife and that's why we're not there. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, do you guys need anything? Is there anything that we can do for you guys? Like that was my life. That was my entire marriage, was protecting this man, loving this man, making excuses for this man. Whatever I could do to elevate this man and protect him, I did. So I took the hit on this one. And not kidding you, they brought us our food and put it on our front porch for us so that he would not have to cook his sick wife dinner. If y'all only knew, that's only the second one I've told. It is a decade of covering for my associate pastor, praise and worship leader husband. A decade. So I'll share more later.
Brothers, do you see what I'm saying? She is the victim all the time, loving this man, covering for him all the time, always being the one harmed for over a decade. But during that decade, she lived a life of luxury and the good life as the pastor's son's wife, living off the church's money without working. Oh, she conveniently left that part out. I can imagine the pressure this man must have exerted in this household that led to alcoholism, with a wife who, at no point in her story, mentions trying to get him help. She only tried to cover up so he wouldn't fall because apparently, If she endured so much with her abusive husband, it was because this man brought a lot to the table. Remember something, brothers, you will always be the bad guy in someone else's story. As a friend of mine used to say, if you ask me about my divorce, I'll tell you it happened because my ex-wife and I didn't understand each other. But if you hear her side of the story, I might even hate myself. She will always be the victim who endured so much. But I want you to see how the community reacts to the victim, especially in the city where she lives.
So my best friend, one of my best friends that I actually wasn't allowed to have any contact with for a long time, thank God she stuck by me. She'll always be in my life, messaged me and asked me if I had seen all the negative comments on my TikTok. No, I don't really pay attention to them. They don't bother me. This is what I told her, they don't bother me. I used to care what everybody thought about me. If they didn't like me, what did I say? What did I do? If they didn't like the way I talked, well, they think I talk funny. Well, how do I talk different? How do I make them happy? Or they talk about my looks and, just anything. It used to keep me up at night. It used to drive me crazy, like how I could fix this. When I married and got into a relationship with my associate pastor, praise and worship leader husband, I had to let all of that go, because in our town, they're kind of like a well-known family, and they have just as many haters as they do people that love them. I mean, you either love them or you hate them. There's a saying in the family that when you meet someone new, you don't know if you should duck or pucker. You don't know if you're about to get hit in the face or if you're going to get kissed. And that is so true. Everyone that was so happy and loved the fact that I married him hated me for marrying him. Everybody that loved that I married him hate me now because I left. I mean, it just goes with the territory. I actually got a job because of who my father-in-law was, and I actually didn't get a job because of who my father-in-law is. And it's funny because my current position, my team was warned, like, this is who she is, don't hold it against her. Like, don't prejudge her for who she's married to and the family that she's married to. Like, give her the benefit of the doubt. They were actually told that. Most people are told that. So no, I don't care about the negative comments, because when I got into the family and married my husband, I faced it daily, especially on Sundays, from people that thought I wasn't good enough for him or preferred wife number one over me. Like, I mean, I dealt with so much stuff whenever I got into my marriage. But not only that, when I tried to leave, the amount of hate I got was unbelievable. But I got the same amount of support too. But it's crazy, because when you leave a narcissist, or when you get out of a relationship, you're usually just divorcing that person. And I mean, you might have to deal with some of their family or whatever. But for me, when I left, I had to deal with an entire family, as well as an entire church congregation and some past church members that still adore them. It was almost like, how could you do that to our baby? How could you do that to our sweet person? So I'm very used to it. I can't even really go to a grocery store. I was at a grocery store the other day, and one of the elders from the church were there, and I had to actually leave the grocery store because I knew there would probably be a verbal exchange, and it was going to be not very nice. I can be at a parking lot. This happened to me the other day in a parking lot, and I was asked, wait, are you so-and-so, the one that's leaving so-and-so? Yeah, that's me. And then I proceed to get asked a ton of questions. But the comments don't bother me for another reason. I was in that relationship for about a decade, and the things that I was told and were told to my kids, and the way that we were treated, I mean, someone saying they don't like the way I talk, or that I'm a drama queen or whatever, is nothing compared to what I was called all the time, or horrible things that were said to me about my children. So someone, that I don't know on TikTok that says a hateful or rude comment. You are entitled to your opinion. I did see one that said, if I was married to you, I'd drink too. Well, we were only together for 10 years and this was a 34-year problem. So you can't blame me. And you also can't blame wife number one for that issue either, because it was well before her. So that doesn't bother me at all either. Like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion. This is my story. This is my journey. This is what it was like being in this relationship, how it was navigating leaving a family that you typically don't leave. The being behind the scenes of ministry and all the stuff that I had to deal with and endure, all the nasty parts of ministry that nobody wants to talk about. So no, I don't get upset about the comments. I don't really read them. Like I said, man, I could share a few text messages that I received from my husband, just like on my way home from work, that would blow your mind. And I dealt with that battlefield for a decade. I dealt with that kind of stuff for a decade. So someone saying I talk funny, or she shouldn't have that gum in her mouth, she looks ridiculous, or you know what, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it is what it is. I have a story to tell. I'm going to tell it. And I appreciate all the messages and comments that I do get, saying I was in a relationship with a pastor. I was in a relationship with an addict. How did you get out? I also get comments from people in our church that are still there, and people that have already left, or people that was under another church where my family ministered. That was like, we're so proud of you. You're so brave. I wish I was brave enough to tell what happened to me. Keep going, girl. And I'm going to tell my story. I have a story to tell, and it's pretty fascinating, and it's not meant to shame my husband. I'm going to I'm his cheerleader. I'll always be his cheerleader. But I also want the truth to be told. So I want the truth to be told, and I want him to get help, and I want churches and ministry and leadership and to stop covering, lying, and hiding. Stop it. Stop. It's time to really address the dark side of ministry. It's time to really get it out there. So, like I said, I have a story to tell. I'm excited to tell it, and I hope you follow along.
Brothers, this woman built her entire life around her ex-husband. She got a job through her ex-husband, became known in the community because of her ex-husband. Her whole life revolved around the influence of her ex-husband. Seeing this, do you believe that after a divorce, she would leave without tarnishing the image of the man who provided her with a life? What happened here is that this man was going to continue being influential in the community. She would leave as the woman who destroyed her marriage, as women often do in divorces, but she always has to be the victim to gain more in the divorce. She made a video airing all the dirty laundry of her marriage to damage this man's image, to be able to say she was the victim who escaped the abuser. I'm not saying what this man did is right, but one can leave without looking back, maintain a co-parenting relationship for the children, and move on with life. Or one can destroy the man's image, defame him, ruin his livelihood, while taking everything in the divorce, destroying his sphere of influence. Which do you think the woman will choose? Always the more destructive path for the man, because leaving in peace is not a woman's style. First, you have to play the roles of the villain and the victim, as they always want to be the victims. What hurts her is that someone else will take her place tomorrow, gaining all the benefits and influence. She will disappear into nothing, only known as the pastor's ex-wife. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What is your opinion on the pastor's wife story? What is your opinion on the wealthy woman who was tired and got divorced? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.